In this video, what we're going to do is show you how to start an apprenticeship. And I'm really excited about this because it's actually super easy. What you're going to do is a few basic steps, pop it into Apprentice, and it'll do the rest for you. It's really that easy, but there's some things that you might want to know ahead of time. So this video is for you if that's you. Step one is that you want to identify the positions in your company that you want to turn into apprenticeships. And what does that mean? That means look for the positions in your company that are in high demand, meaning you're going to need to fill those. Either you're filling them immediately or you're going to need to fill those in the very near future. Those are the positions you would want to consider turning into apprenticeships first. You could go past that and look for positions that you have once in a while needs for, but to really get the most bang out of your buck up front, look for the positions that you're constantly hiring. For me, for example, that might be a customer service team lead, an IT help desk person, a content writer, a content marketer, et cetera. And so those are the kinds of roles that you want to look at and say, I'm always hiring this. Why don't I, instead of hiring into those positions, why don't I build them? I heard somebody say the other day, it's actually a difference between buying and building. I think that's a pretty fair assessment. Do you want to buy this person? That's a terrible way to put it. But do you want to pay for the person and hire them into that position, which is going to cost you a lot of money? Let's be honest about that. Or do you want to build that person? That might cost you a little bit of money up front because you're obviously going to have to employ someone. But you provide that training and you automate so much of it that they're actually going to learn the role that you need them to fill. And you now have the person that's built in from your pipeline. They know exactly how your company runs, all your processes. Now you've got something that's a real winner. So the first step is to look at the positions that you have internally that you have a lot of demand for and turn those into apprenticeships. You're going to take those apprenticeships, pick one, and you're going to define the terms. What does that mean? That means there's a couple things that you want to really think about. One, for example, is how long do you want this apprenticeship to last? We call this duration. Apprenticeships historically used to be a minimum of 1 to 4 years. 4 years is a long time in today's day and age, especially for roles that are changing constantly. I would suggest that you look at making this as short as possible while still giving enough time that they can actually learn the competencies. They can become proficient in the things that you need them to. They actually have the skill. What you don't want to do is end up making this so short that by the time it's done, you're like, yeah, you don't really know how to do this. No, you want to avoid that. You want to nail this and say, okay, this is about the amount of time that it should take for you to learn this, also for you to be able to do this. And as you're doing it, you actually become good at it. So think about what that duration might be. Honestly, it doesn't have to be super difficult. If you want to make this really easy, you can use what's called a competency-based apprenticeship. It's right there inside of Apprentice. A competency-based requires no time constraints at all. Some of the old school ones say it's going to be 1 year, 2 years, 4 years. The new school is straight up, honestly, competency-based. Competency simply means, look, when you learn it, you learned it. I don't care how long it takes you. If you take 1 day to learn that thing, fantastic. If it took you 1 month to learn it, okay. Obviously, you're going to be pushing along what you think it should be. But the point is, you don't have to make it a time-based apprenticeship. It doesn't have to require any time at all. It's just simply a matter of, did you learn the thing or not? Pretty novel concept. And then the third option is what's called a hybrid. Basically, you can put both in place, competency and some time. You might say, yeah, I want you to be able to learn these things, but I want to see you having done them for a certain amount of time. These are just 3 different training approaches, but these are the terms that you're going to define. All right. And then you might also need to define what certificate are you going to provide at the end of this. The certificate could be from a formal institution. Let's say you're training a content marketer. The certificate might come from the American Marketing Association, or if you're doing something that's what's known as a registered federal apprenticeship, the U.S. Department of Labor issues that certificate. Ultimately, the certificate might matter in your industry, but honestly, it might not matter. You, as the company, as the employer, could provide a certificate. It doesn't really matter unless it matters. You know what I'm saying? If it matters in your industry and your business and people care, people meaning the candidates care, or your employees care, then go for something that's established. If you don't really care, if it's nice to have, you issue the certificate. It doesn't really matter. But you do want to have something at the end of it that says, hey, you got this. And look, worst case, even if you think it means nothing, here's the beauty with Apprentice. We actually issue the apprentice, when they graduate, an NFT that's on the Ethereum blockchain. If you don't know about this yet, we can make a whole different video about it. But let me just tell you, we're giving your apprentices a dope asset that they get to receive that's based on Web 3.0 on blockchain that they can then use for the rest of their careers. And it's free to them. It's free to you. It's part of your subscription in Apprentice. So That's a really cool option to be able to enable, and it's no added cost. It's actually not even enablement. It's just you're going to get it. It's just coming. It's coming your way. It's built in. Worst case, you get that. But look, that's just establish a certificate, or say you're going to give them something. They need to feel like they earned something. It's like a ribbon for placing. Just that's what the point is. So that's really the upfront. You determine the apprenticeship and you determine the terms.